Holy shit.
News. Here is an illustrated summary of the news happenings at home and abroad.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. I have missed you. It's been a couple of days, and I do apologize for that, but I moved. Yes, I moved. That means uprooting everything from your toothbrush to your pet and moving to a different living environment, which you will not know about because I have some freakish and crazy people that do haunt my every step on the internets. But I have moved, and many of you know and can relate to the all-consuming tornado that is in one's life. Can't find your undergarments, can't find anything, just a crazy time. So anyway, that's my explanation, and I'm sticking to it. But, you can't miss a beat in the world of macro issues because just so much comes at you. I've coined the phrase, just the blitzkrieg of insanity. It really is that. It's just one thing after another thing after another thing. In fact, if you trace back this administration, just the last 7 years, and you just wrap your mind around how many things have come down the bend from, VA scandals to abortion, House of Horror huts selling human body parts to just you name it. There has just been crazy after crazy after crazy after crazy. Your Secretary of State selling the country's interests by way of her own benefit in the form of the Clinton fraud foundation. Nonetheless, here we find ourselves, and Trump just cleaning clock on Super Tuesday, which is hard on our rear view mirror now. Just cleaning clock, just destruction. And man, the establishment, I have never been more entertained because the establishment and the media are just hilarious in their hyperbolic panic. Which by the way, when it comes to the Republican Party, you got to understand, they are just exposed now. I mean, just buck naked with their two little hands around their Irish curse down there, just running around the neighborhood, just full exposed, buck naked exposed by the fact that they've never cared about conservative voters. They've never concerned themselves with flyover conservative America. They've never concerned themselves with the issues you care about. They care about them. Them, full stop, full halt, them, and only them. Power, influence, Washington elite. That's all they are. That's all they've ever been. But when you look at the juggernaut that is Donald Trump on this political landscape, if the Republican Party had absolutely, first of all, if they had any political instincts, and second of all, if they had any common sense, and third of all, if they cared about their constituency, their voters, the people, the human beings that actually cast votes in a so-called democracy, they would be just celebratory in what Trump is accomplishing by way of a big tent. Now, I'm not telling you, and I'm not saying that they can't have problems with the ideology, apprehension about the candidates, so on and so forth. But just on a political level, if they cared about anything to do with ideology or fixing what Barack Obama has done, they would be ecstatic, but they're not. Because it threatens them. It threatens them. And I'm telling you who them is. The John McCains, the Lindsey Graham, and the gray-haired, smoke-roomed hacks that the Republican Party has just calcified. It's just become concrete, and they expect it to stay that way. And Trump threatens it, and that is as plain as day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the stories, and I'll bring you just a few. I'll pepper them with the stories of the last 3 days that I missed. For example, Hollywood weighs in. Spotlight wins Best Picture, a movie that takes on the very pressing issue in America. Not ISIS. Oh, no, don't be so silly. Not economic disaster, not joblessness, not things that matter. No, the church. The church and all its abuses. Yes, Joe Biden spoke passionately about campus rape culture. These fictitious boogeymen that I won't go as far as to say that there shouldn't be any public discourse about it, because of course they should. And the church has culpability and responsibility to self-correct, and it certainly has, specifically in the Catholic Church, it has things to account for. But this is where they're focusing their spotlight. And again, just out of touch with reality in their own little leftist world. The left is intellectual inbreeding, Appalachian Trail style. That's what they've always been. The leftist director of this movie, by the way, his speech on the stage, the Oscars stage, which was a joke, by the way, low ratings, we'll get to that. He made a profoundly conservative argument without even realizing it. I encourage you to listen to it. And that's your homework assignment. See if you can spot it. Leonardo DiCaprio, by the way, had the guts to announce that global warming is the biggest problem facing us today, which in and of himself should make him a laughing stock. Again, if it wasn't for intellectual inbreeding among the elites in our society. LA Times has that piece, by the way. Jeff Sessions. Love Jeff Sessions. Met him when I was at CPAC. Amazing man. Endorses Trump, and you'll see many more mainstream candidates jumping on the bandwagon, ladies and gentlemen. That's a fact, because it's a runaway train. If you want to read about that, businessinsider.com has it. Joe Biden plugs, he apologizes to Mexico for Trump. He apologizes to Mexico. Mexico has been dumping drugs, illegal immigrants on your shores. Illegal immigrants that kill Kate Steinle, by the way, in San Francisco, an illegal, lawless sanctuary city of the leftist shrine. 70% of Americans, by the way, this is a fact, and this is federal numbers. These are federal numbers I'm quoting you. 70% of Americans oppose illegal immigrants, and your vice president apologizes in Mexico. That's how out of touch with reality these guys are. And I'll keep saying it because that's the answer. They're simply out of touch. They don't know you. You listening to me, they don't know you. And they don't care to know you. They don't care about what you think. Weekly Standard has that piece. 10 years in a row without growth, without economic growth above 3%. Ladies and gentlemen, I know everybody is not an economic wonk. I love economics. This, you have to take my word for it, is pathetic. This is pathetic. CNS News has the piece, and they really do a nice job of laying out this 10-year stretch of just scorched earth, Arizona desert economy. That's the truth. Not the MSNBC headlines about fixed numbers, but the actual economic truth. And the fact that you have all these young trust fund babies with their finger in their mouth in a fetal position, ranting and raving about not having jobs should be enough. Should be enough to point you can't have your cake and eat it too, MSNBC. You can't say there's all this economic hardship and then say Barack Obama's kicking butt and taking names in the economy. It's ridiculous. Rubio, ladies and gentlemen, was the front man for the Gang of Eight, still haunting his steps. The New York Times, clearly, by the way, their editorial board wants Trump as a candidate. They think Hillary Clinton can sweep the floor with him. I have news for the New York Times. They have a tidal wave of reality coming their way. But anyway, that's what I attribute that to. Hillary just demolishes Sanders in South Carolina, just demolishes him. And everybody keeps bantying about the black vote. Apparently, the black vote doesn't want to cast a vote for a 75-year-old socialist with gray hair that has a Northeastern accent. But Hillary Clinton, I mean, have you ever listened to some of these speeches when she's in the South? So condescending. This woman's down there like preaching to people. I mean, she's down there singing in like weird Hillary cadence. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. In a black church. I mean, it's so condescending, I can't even sit through it. I'm squirming as I watch it. Republicans try to find the answers to the Trumpster, the Trump train. They fail miserably. The New York Times is littered with arguments about that. Rubio has, a new strategy. He's gonna do the whole insult thing. Doesn't elevate the contest, and it's hard to understand how Rubio thinks he's going to insult the insulter. But there's his strategy. We'll see if it works. And there's a piece in the New York Times about why Rubio changed his tactics. I can tell you why he changed his tactics. The scumbag, cretin, low-life pond scum in the media only carries insults. So, for example, if Rubio goes out there and says something like, here's my economic plan for creating jobs at huge percentage growth in the economy, everybody's gonna yawn. If Rubio goes out there and says, Trump's mom wears dirty underpants and dates trailer park trash, they're going to have it on every network. Thus, the state of the electorate and what we hear. Trump there's Jenkins in the Wall Street Journal. These guys are hilarious as they try to explain this. Apparently, they think he's the most surprised man in America, that he never had any intention of winning. That these guys are hilarious to me. They get inside their head. They do this like on the couch shrink thing instead of just accepting the reality of the situation. That the Washington elite has lost the trust of the constituency. We hate politics and we hate the media and we hate the DC crowd. And that's the explanation for Trump. But instead of admitting that, it's like Trump is surprised. He stumbled into this. He never really wanted to do it. It's just funny. They just come up with every explanation except for the one in front of their face. You know, George Will is writing in the Washington Post about how he thinks Trump can still be stopped. And then there's an interesting piece. What would a Trump administration look like? An intelligent, relatively optimistic analysis, by the way. This guy's name's Sullivan, John Sullivan, writing for National Review Online. He points out this interesting point. This is the lion's share of his point if you don't feel like reading the article, but I suggest you do, by the way. It's nationalreview.com. His point is that the left has dominated show business, and of that there can be no debate, right? He says Trump, Donald Trump, the Trumpster, in all his glory, is the first Republican showbiz candidate. And I think that's a really insightful thing. I really do. You know, that does move the needle with the 2016 constituency. Look, here is his bread and butter. He knows how to manipulate the media. He understands how to manipulate these goons, these characterless, valueless, vain goons in the media. And he has a lot of skills, I suppose, both political skills, entertaining, all these things. But the biggest thing Trump has going for him is he knows how to completely contort and manipulate the media. Anyway, National Review, fascinating piece. I think you'd really enjoy it, by the way. Ben Shapiro, one of my heroes, this guy, I got to meet this guy too, amazing, was speaking in Cal State, just exchanging ideas, by the way. He's got conservative views. Los Angeles, utterly disrespectful, threatening him, violence, and the college doesn't even protect him. Doesn't even protect him. By the way, leftist speakers don't need bodyguards. But the fact that conservatives need bodyguards to come to campuses should scream, no matter what politics you have, that there's a problem. And they don't even protect the guy. They let him get violently attacked by this mob, this French revolutionary mob of mindless fools. And this is a taxpayer-funded school that a person with opposing views can't speak at without being violently attacked. That is the left. ABC7.com has the piece. Another Gitmo grad, ladies and gentlemen, returns to the terror fields, murdering innocent people. Thanks, Obama. Thanks, Obama. ABC News has that one. There's an amazing piece about how a liberal turned into a common-sense conservative thanks to Prager University. Prager University is one of the coolest things that has ever come down the pike. College universities do not educate. Dennis Prager, one of my other heroes, decided within 5 minutes I can clear the cobwebs out of the communist minds of these kids, and he's doing it. The rebel.media.com has this story. You got to check it out. Hungary, the country of Hungary, seals off its border from its southern European neighbors because they're clearly insane. They're building a very long wall to keep people out. Express.co.uk has that piece. Missouri, by the way, that Missouri University that's been in the news, they're firing that professor, that horrible feminist cretin professor who hates free speech. She literally says no free speech professor, where that poor student had to get off the campus. Oh, by the way, her supporters are complaining that her free speech is violated now. Is that not hilarious? She's being fired because she squashed the free speech of a student, and her very cheerleading squad is now claiming that she has no free speech. Yes. Hello, McFly. That's the reason we need free speech. It consumes you. Minimum wage. The left has a piece in the Washington Post. Businesses just need to eat the loss. They need to just eat the loss because profit and ledgers and books and stuff. They don't care about that. They live in la la land. There's a piece about that. MSNBC, and let's take a second to celebrate the Wicked Witch is dead. They fire Melissa Harry Paris. Melissa Harris Perry is now fired. This woman makes your blood boil. She goes on a tantrum and accuses MSNBC of being a racist network. These people are delusional. She accuses MSNBC of being a racist network in a total meltdown rant. This woman was a firecracker anyway. Washington Post has that piece. Pretty hilarious. New York Times asked Hillary to turn over her Goldman Sachs speeches, by the way. That's That's a burning talking point. Notice that they don't ask her about why she installed a private server in her bedroom as a Secretary of State. But it's this. This is what moves the needle for them. Ladies and gentlemen, Germany, the country of Germany, lost 150,000 migrants. Just who knows where. Out there wreaking havoc. Clarence Thomas now becoming the point man for conservatism on the bench, asking the questions where Scalia once did. This guy, ladies and gentlemen, this guy's an American giant. I can't tell you how much respect I have for Clarence Thomas. Hillary builds her playbook, her attack playbook against Trump, so clearly she thinks she's going to be the winner. It's all there for you, the attack playbook at the New York Times. Krugman, the leftist hack, is agreeing that global warming is our biggest nemesis in the planet. Oscar ratings. Ladies and gentlemen, fewer Americans watched the Oscars than in 10 years. No surprise. We get enough race baiting and enough claptrap from the left in our normal lives. We don't need that from Hollywood. A Swedish girl who went and flirted with ISIS, went there and had a little fling with ISIS, returns home traumatized, didn't like it much. Hello, I could have told you that clueless Western leftist. DailyMail.ck has that piece. Ladies and gentlemen, sadly, that's the world as it spins madly off its axis. It's good to be back in the saddle. Thank you for listening to the Brock Lawley program. Be a people of character, fortitude, and abounding courage.
À Brock Lawley Productions.